Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino.
April 26th, undefeated future superstar Matthias Radcliffe takes on Ezekiel Flores for the WPF International Lightweight Championship of the World.
What a hit!
I'm going in, that's what I do, standing on business.
That same night, Michael Bracamontes looks to win the US WBC and WBF International Super Featherweight
First of
titles.
many.
Night of Champions, Saturday, April 26th, live on BXNG TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule is back in effect, brought to you by Hustler Casino. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mario Minecraft Lopez.
See, not as funny, Kim. We're doing this over. He was funnier on the first one. Caught me slipping. But yes, quick shout out to Smoking Tim Frazier on the ones and twos.
The bout sheet for this show: upset in Oceanside. Then we have Ben Eubank preview, news and notes, and Ask Mario. But we want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by Hustler Casino, the premier luxury casino in LA. To celebrate Hustler's 50th anniversary, they're giving away $50,000 in cash on Saturday, April the 26th. Start playing your favorite games today to earn tickets for the drawings, and you could be the lucky winner of a huge cash prize.
Round one.
All right, round number one, we go to the Front Wave Arena in Oceanside, California on The Zone, brought to you by Golden Boy Promotions. Junior middleweights in action, and it was upset special. Jorge Garcia Perez with the split decision in 12 over Charles Conwell. Your scores: 115, 113, 113, 115, and then 115, 113. Perez, Mario, I thought it was a close fight. I thought the judges got it right.
Yeah, so did I. You said upset special. I'd say even upset of the year, to be honest, because Conwell was looking so good, had so much momentum going into this fight, worked so hard to get to this point, just to get derailed by a real determined underdog, a guy that was really well prepared and came to fight, and unfortunately he's got to take a few steps back. It wasn't a devastating loss. It was a loss that I think he can learn a lot from, that he can grow from. I think that'll make him a better fighter. I was a little surprised by his footwork and him coming forward, loading up on certain shots, and I think he was looking just to kind of get his guy out of there. But Perez fought the perfect fight, man. I thought he was smart. He used his attributes. He was reaching with his long jab. He went to the body well. He sort of smothered him and muffled his punches when he was on the inside. He showed a lot of that Sinaloa heart.
Yeah.
And it was that's why fighting's so exciting. It was a really good fight, close fight. Again, I don't think it's one that will tarnish his legacy moving forward. I think he can learn from it, and he'll show a lot of character if he's able to bounce back. But it was a very close, tough fight that I thought the judges made the right decision.
Conwell kept looking for that big shot inside, and then as you mentioned, he kept smothering himself. And my belief is in the first 4 or 5 rounds, he was chipping away to the body, doing good work, but he kept looking for that one big shot. And then right around 6, 7, 8, and 9, you're thinking to yourself, this guy's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then
he had a good set of whiskers.
He did. That's key.
Yeah.
Because he was touched a few times, and Perez every round just kept outworking him. Wasn't big, but there was a lot of rounds I would describe as 51-49.
Right.
And then when the momentum builds for the upset, psychologically you're like, this Conwell better get, I don't want to say desperate, better have a sense of urgency. And if you listen to his corner in the late rounds, they understood this fight was close.
Conwell, a lot of people were calling him the boogeyman at 54. Perez didn't get that note. And that's what happens when you don't allow yourself to get psychologically manipulated by buzz out there, and you believe in yourself, and you got the balls to go out there and fight your fight, and you're exactly right. He basically outworked him, and that's how I think he was able to kind of put together the rounds. 115, 113, I think is a good scorecard to end it on. But again, I think Conwell can come back from this and be an even better fighter.
It's just a loss.
It's just a loss, and it wasn't a devastating loss, and it wasn't a bad knockout. It was just a loss against a guy who was very skilled, very prepared, and had no fear and came to fight.
There used to be a theory that unless you had a loss or two on your record, you really were not battle tested to actually have a title shot. Here's the thing with a guy like Jorge Garcia Perez. Came into this game or this fight with 4 losses. But he was tough as a combat boot. And a lot of insiders, if you look at his recent record of the last 7-8 fights, he has pulled a few upsets. Couple of people told me in the fight game, go, Steve, this is no pushover. And the reality is this, and I'm hearing a lot of stuff on Twitter and about Charles Conwell got exposed, or no fighter that's black should sign with Golden Boy. First of all, it wasn't a robbery, so there's no conspiracy, or Conwell was overrated. No, all this is a loss. Is it a disastrous loss? No. I think it's a disappointing loss that now you go from, let's say, being 1 or 2 fights from being a title shot. It may now delay the process by, let's say, 2 or 3 more fights. That's the fight game, though. That is the fight game.
And the flip side of that, exactly like you said, a lot of people didn't think that someone's not worthy unless they got a fight or two. Hence Perez. He had a fight or two. He's suffered some losses. He's learned from them. He's gotten gritty. Again, he wasn't intimidated by the moment. He knew what Conwell was coming in. And look, he was a better man for it that night.
And anyone that says, well, Conwell was looking ahead, keep this in mind. Conwell, I believe, in the WBO was number 2. Jorge Garcia Perez was number 3. So that should have told you right then, Golden Boy was trying to, quote, unquote, make a real fight.
Good for them.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
The main event on this card from Oceanside, women's flyweight champion of the world, Gabriel Fundora chops down Marilyn Badillo in 7. Mario, you talk about the greatest brother combinations in the history of boxing, and what comes to mind are like the Marquezes, the Klitschkos.
This got to be the best brother-sister combination.
Right. They're tall, they're lean, but they punch through people. And you look at Fundora, who's only 23. She's 5'9", and she looks taller. I don't see anyone beating her for at least another 2 weight classes.
She looks 6'3".
She does.
She does, because she's built like her brother. Dare I say she might even be a better fighter than her brother?
Ooh, whoa.
You know what I mean?
I'll
say this. I love them both. I'll say this. She uses her height and reach to her advantage as one should, where her brother doesn't necessarily do that all the time. She seems to have a little bit of a higher fight IQ, and I say that complimentary, not to diss him, just to compliment her. And I think Golden Boy has a great opportunity right here to promote her to kind of be on the same level as sort of the Serrano, the Taylor. She really could be something in female boxing. That was an impressive victory against a tough competitor. So I'm really happy for the Fundoras right here. I think that was a really, really good look.
Fundora improves to 16-0, scoring her 8th stoppage. Keep this in mind again, just 23 years old. Oh, boy. This Saturday, it's the blood feud of Britain from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the UK. Chris Eubank Jr. takes on Conor Benn. I don't know. This is an interesting fight, Mario. Conor Benn's basically a natural welterweight. Eubank has fought as high as 168 at the world-class level. Is this a physical mismatch?
We'll find out come Saturday. Look, these guys really don't like each other. And I like when guys genuinely do not like each other. The father's involved. This guy's like a whole soap opera behind all this. So I'm excited to kind of see what transpires. When they're talking to each other with their little British accents, though, it still sounds very respectful. It doesn't sound as...
Sounds like their pinkies are out with the teacup.
They're having some teacup, and they're passing the Grey Poupon. But I'm still looking forward to this fight. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a blowout. I think they know what each other possesses.
I watched a documentary in their first fight, the two fathers in 1990. Those guys absolutely, positively, not hated each other. They detested each other, and it was such a big event the first time they fought. ITV had both of them in studio to sign the fight contract. And the manager for Chris Eubank was a guy by the name of Barry Hearn. You may have heard of his son. Okay? And it's funny. Eubank had one of the most interesting, unique personalities. in boxing. And so they're sitting right next to each other, but throughout the whole promotion, Eubank said, I'm not going to look at you because you're not worthy of my eyesight. So the whole time, Ben is trying to glare at him, and you see Eubank just kind of looking away, talking down to him. Now, they had 2 fights in 1990. It was a hotly contested battle. Eubank stopped him in 9. Then the rematch in 1993.
I remember.
Controversial draw that most people thought Ben won. So this is interesting, though.
The legacy continues.
Chris Eubank Sr. is completely against this fight. He
Really?
does not like this fight. He believes it's actually dangerous what's going on given the disparity in weight. He does not like the fact that his son, who has fought at 68, is being forced to move down, and that Conor Ben, who's really a natural short 47, very squat and muscular, I've been around him, is now moving up to 60. He believes this fight is dangerous, and he's done interviews flat out saying, I'm completely against this. This is wrong what we are doing. I find that to be fascinating. I really do.
Well, it is, and he has a good point. I think that's why it evens out, though. He's going up a weight class that he's not naturally used to, and his son is coming down, which should drain him. He should be a little weaker. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see. Depending. Is there a weight?
I believe it's 160. So
No. A rehydration class?
I haven't heard of one, to be honest.
Well,
with
then I think that makes it even more fair.
Yeah, and so when I talk about the physical mismatch, maybe it will be, but maybe not in the direction that we think. I still go back to Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya. Everyone said, oh, poor Manny, this little guy moving up in weight. Meanwhile, this other guy looks like a prisoner of war at the weigh-in. Yeah. Couldn't even stand on his feet. We should have known right then that fight's going in one direction. One last note about this fight, and just a small little thing. I don't want to harp on it. I didn't know this. Did you know even in the United States, this fight is a DAZN pay-per-view?
Really? That's disappointing.
I thought pay-per-view was dead.
Evidently, it's on life support.
No, it's risen from the ashes like the mighty phoenix. I mean, come on.
Resurrection.
I guess it really is. Yes, we had that yesterday. Anyway, that's it for round 1 of the 3 Knockdown Rule. We'll be back with more.
Catch it streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
This is a 400K flip. If I win by way, you get 10 grand.
Compromise fucking straddle!
For my fans!
Why? I read it twice!
Wow. All in a call.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Raise it up.
April 26th, undefeated future superstar Matthias Radcliffe takes on Ezekiel Flores for the WPF International Lightweight Championship of the World.
What a hit.
I'm going in. That's what I do. Standing on business.
That
That's what
same night, Michael Bracamontes looks to win the US WBC and WBF International Super Featherweight
First of
titles.
many.
Night of Champions, Saturday, April 26th, live on BXNG TV.
Review preview.
And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino. We move on. Sunday, from jolly old England, we have controversy. Ben Whittaker, I guess, wipes the slate clean against Liam Cameron in their rematch, but there's a lot of people upset. Did you agree with that stoppage from referee Howard Foster?
I thought it was a little premature. Did you?
Round 2.
I thought it was a little premature. I was
Never
like,
off his feet.
No, I know.
Lot on the line.
I was really disappointed too. Now, does that warrant yet another fight?
Chapter 3?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It almost seems like it was so premature. I thought, is there some sort of conspiracy? I'm not a conspiracy guy, but are they wanting Chapter 3 to happen inevitably? So that's why we're stopping this?
I have not heard that, but keep this in mind when people say, well, things like this happen. Right. They always happen in the favor of the A side.
Yeah.
I don't recall a lot of bad stoppages where you're like, wow, the house fighter really got screwed here.
Can I ask you something, just because it was on social media, not to deviate too much? Did you think it was an early, I don't want to say early stoppage, a bad stoppage for the second Cotto Margarito fight? Because it looked like Margarito was coming on. So did I.
Hated it.
So did I.
I believe that was very political.
It was, right?
In fact, Sergio Diaz, who was in that corner, good friend of mine, after the fight, we're at the Fight Hotel.
Yeah.
And I said, Sergio, man, it's really too bad. So I guess Antonio couldn't see, huh? He goes, what do you mean? They kept asking him how many fingers you have up, and they kept changing it, and his vision was fine.
I thought he was coming on just like the first fight.
At the end of that round,
didn't you think, Kim?
When the bell rung, I'm right there, press row. Margarito gives the throat slash, And I'm thinking, oh, wow. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of commotion in the ring. And I said, what happened? Because we were telling the commission, we're ready to go. What's the problem? The referee was Steve Smoger, said, guys, let's go. And they're like, Smoger, we want to fight. And so Smoger was confused. I believe that they were not going to allow Cotto to lose under any circumstance that night.
See, not to compare it too much to this, but it did make me, it was on social media recently.
Right.
And see, I didn't know if it was just me or my Mexican side just thinking, but it looked like he was coming on and the same thing inevitably might have happened, right?
Right, and at least, but the difference is, at least we had 9 rounds of Cotto Margarito.
No, correct.
Right.
It just reminded me of that. Okay, good. I'm not crazy then.
But I keep asking myself this. If Liam Cameron had gotten Whitaker in that situation, would they have waved it off? I believe most people think no, they would not have. So I don't know if there's a clamoring for a third fight. All I'm going to say is a lot of respected names in British boxing who are closer to the situation than you or I, they were outraged by the decision to waive off the fight.
News and notes.
Mario, news and notes. I've been pretty blunt in this. I believe that the early boxing schedule, for the most part, outside of the Better BF Bivol card, Lamont Roach putting on a great performance about Tank Davis, has been in 2025, as the kids say, middle or mid, whatever.
Mid, not middle. You messed it up. Fool.
But you know what?
Mid.
There is
Kids don't say middle.
Oh, they don't. Okay. There is some summer sizzle coming our way starting in June. Let me go down the list here. It was announced all last week. These are done deals. June 7th from the Land of the Rising Sun on ESPN+. Junto Nakatani finally gets his bantamweight unification bout against Ryosuke Nishida. And that'll also be for the Ring Magazine bantamweight crown. Then June 7th in the States from the Scope in Norfolk, Virginia. It's the return of WBO lightweight champion Keyshawn Davis takes on Edwin De Los Santos. Then June 28th from the Honda Center, Golden Boy and Jake Paul. Strange bedfellows indeed. Jake Paul takes on Chavez Jr. And then Gilberto Ramirez takes on Junior Dorticos in the co-main. And then finally, July 12th. This is kind of a blockbuster card brought to you by Ring Magazine and Turkey Al Sheikh from New York City. Venue to be announced. This will be another interesting one. Shakur Stevenson defends his WBC lightweight title against William Zepeda. And then Edgar Berlanga takes on Hamza Shiraz.
Did not see that coming. Like all those fights. Let's start breaking them down. First of all, off the top of my head right here.
Okay.
Chavez Jr. has such a golden opportunity to redeem himself with Jake Paul and curry favor with the casual fan.
You still believe, don't you?
No.
Hold
on a second. With the casual fan, the Mexicans, all this, he has such a golden opportunity.
Look at this. He's still believing.
And he's not going to do it. And he's not going to do it. It's so disappointing because I'm a realist. I'm being honest. I'm saying he has the opportunity, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't have the discipline.
But you know what, though? I'm more forgiving than you. If you can't give a guy 38 strikes, then you know what? You're just a heartless bastard. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
He has not only been inactive the times he did fight, he lost against Anderson Silva, who Jake Paul beat
in a boxing match, by the way.
In a boxing match. My guy trains in his kitchen eating cornflakes in his chonies and just has zero discipline. He's just showing up for the payday. I hate to see it. I wish and hope he had to come to Jesus and he takes it serious because then it might be different, but history has not shown that. So unfortunately, I don't see anything happening there other than another Jake Paul victory.
Jake Paul's the greatest matchmaker in boxing. He really is.
Listen, hey, he's giving him a nice payday, and he's also, I think, raising the awareness level for.
I think it's great for Zurdo.
For Zurdo, exactly. I was at Brick House this morning for Zurdo, so that's cool and that's great. I was talking to Julian Chewich, who I know we want to have come in here join us soon. So for that, I like. It's just disappointing because it's like this would be such a great moment for Chavez if he can do it, but he won't take it serious and he won't. So it's like, wah, wah. Do you disagree with that?
Oh, no. Well, let me put this into perspective about how much time flies and how fast it is now. You talk about training in his kitchen. That was for the Sergio Martinez fight in 2012. The Chavez fight was 2016. So that is 9 years ago, or really 2017. That's 8
the Chavez
years
fight,
ago.
Canelo fight, you mean?
Canelo Chavez was in 2017. In fact, it was the fight before he faced Golovkin. That's how long it's been since he's been what I'd call a legitimate world-class sort of fighter.
Aside from that, Kim, he's had issues outside of the ring. He just got out of a rehab center where he almost OD'd, and that was like a month ago. So, the kid has had issues. And at one point, he was a serious fighter when he beat Andy Lee. That was a legitimate world championship, middleweight. He was training with Freddie. He looked good. And then just somehow, went off the rails. But, hey, hopefully nobody gets hurt in there. He's getting a nice little payday, so God bless him.
Mario, you know what I love about June 7th for Keyshawn Davis? This is his third fight since November.
Love that.
I love the fact they didn't just go back to the Garden, the small room in New York. They said, no, let's go back to the Scope. The last fight that he did at the Scope against Gustavo Lemos, they did a legitimate $1 million gate. He is now a regional attraction.
He's a real draw.
And Edwin Dos Santos, he's facing a real contender who gave Shakur Stevenson an absolute scare in 2023. One problem, though.
Last time we saw him.
Last time he fought, though.
That's the last time we saw him.
Activity matters. Yeah.
Still a dangerous guy, and if he were to end up looking a little bit more impressive and make some sort of statement against him, obviously that caused a lot of comparisons in ways because of what Shakur didn't do or what have you. So I think this is a great opportunity for him. But yes, good for him to stay busy. And Junto, we like him, and this is what he's wanted, to unify. Happy for him.
Build up that resume before you face the monster. And Rudy gave me a great text. He goes, Junto's here in L.A., came to the gym 35 minutes early, ... like real Japanese.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, Rudy, UFC, forget it. Every fight we see, he's right there, man. We got to talk to him about that.
Oh, now you acknowledge him. Okay.
You're
anyway,
so stupid.
and then
Shut up.
finally,
so
Shakur Stevenson.
Like this.
Zepeda. I'm glad it's happening.
I'm finally glad it's happening. And here's the thing. Zepeda fought Farmer twice now.
22 rounds.
So is he prepared? Is he sharp? Does he know what he's getting into with momentum? Or does Shakur see something there that, okay, now I know exactly how I'm going to handle him? It's going to be interesting. Could go the way of Shakur, Oscar Valdez, or possibly maybe Castillo Mayweather 1. Where he should have got the nod. I'm sorry. But we'll see. But I'm glad it's actually happening. I think Shakur and Zepeda, whoever wins, really becomes the man financially in that division. But what's fascinating to me that I did not see coming was the Berlanga-Hamzat fight. I think that's a really good fight for Hamzat. I really like that fight for Hamzat. It's unfortunate that Funes won't be there in his corner, but I think that's an opportunity for him to shine.
Hamza is one of the chosen favorite ones of Turki Al-Sheikh. Culturally, you could just tell by how much invested he was by the Adamas fight, to the point he's saying, psst, you're losing.
Yeah.
Right? Going back to Stevenson Zepeda, what's one thing we all hate to do as California drivers? Be in the rain, but we trudge through, right? Like, we have to be like the windshield wipers. The drops are on us, but we keep pushing through. That's what Zepeda has to be.
We're soldiers.
Yeah.
Zepeda. Is that everyone? Does everyone stop?
Well, a lot of people don't like to drive in the rain. They don't, or they don't know how to.
Yeah.
Zepeda's going to have to realize, I have to walk through stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to get touched. He's going to get hit with shots he does not see. May not hurt him, but when you don't see a punch, I've seen Shakur Stevenson hit guys in a manner where guys all of a sudden freeze. They get very hesitant to let their own stuff go. Zepeda has to be conditioned to know, look, I'm not going to be able to match him in certain departments. I have to work in volume, and I'm going to repeat this. He has to create such a tempo and pace that Shakur Stevenson might break his hand. In other words, get into as many exchanges as possible. Who knows? Shakur Stevenson breaks his hand, becomes a one-handed fighter, and then you seize upon that opportunity.
I don't think he has a choice. I think that's how he fights. I don't think you can change him. That's what we love about him. I think he knows that's his best shot. I think him fighting Farmer back-to-back is going to do him justice, give him a lot of confidence. I really like this fight. We don't have a venue yet, correct?
It's going to be an interesting venue. Think about what's going on May 2nd in New York in Times Square.
I saw the layout of that, actually. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks like it's open to the public, but it's really
something
not.
Exotic.
Unless you see, unless you're in one of the skyscrapers. Oh, wait, are you keeping something from me?
Well, I've heard several different things, but let's just put it this way.
Several things like?
Well, it won't be the Garden. It won't be a venue
so
like
it might be like a fun, different outside venue.
Think
okay.
exotic. Exotic. Well, Times Square is kind of exotic, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. Exotic, but in New York.
Yeah, but in New York.
Interesting. Oh, maybe like no, it's baseball season during that year. We can't do.
It's not going to be a traditional venue. I'm just going to leave it like that.
All
right. Anyway,
secrets over here.
We'll be back with more, and we'll return after Zach's picks.
Get ready for Zach's pick of the week here on the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast.
What's up, guys? Mystic Zach here, back to give another prediction on the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast. Last time out, I went 2-0, extending my record to 4-0. This week, we have a massive fight going down in the UK. Conor Benn taking on Chris Eubank Jr. Finally, this is a fight that was scheduled in 2022. It was canceled due to a failed drug test from Conor Benn. The big story here is the weight. Conor Benn, historically a welterweight, Chris Eubank Jr., a middleweight. This fight is going down at middleweight at 160 pounds. And I can tell you, Conor Benn, his last 2 fights since coming back from his drug suspension, in my eyes, hasn't been the same explosive fighter he was in his fights previous. Not sure what I can attribute that to. Maybe it's due to the layoff, but I haven't seen that same fire that would result in a victory against a guy 2 weight classes up in Chris Eubank. I've got Chris Eubank Jr. over Conor Benn. You can get him as a minus 160 favorite, so close odds here. That's my pick of the week on the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast.
All right, we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule. And folks, are you looking to get involved with 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show? We have some spots available. Please email us at info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid is an online platform that helps professional boxers connect with their fans by providing exclusive Fight Week merchandise, memorabilia, and sponsorships. You can even buy a shout-out on boxbid.io. Boxbid handles our sponsorships, and we are proudly working with boxbid.io. All right, we're moving on here in our weekly segment of Ask Mario. A lot of questions on the queue. Let's get right into it. Okay, hold on for once. All right, from Derek Batista. Hey, Steve and Mario, what are your thoughts on the Hamza Berlanga match that was signed out of nowhere? I find it difficult to pick a winner in this fascinating, unexpected matchup. Mario, the key is very simple. Hamza, we have seen hurt, but I wonder, was it the strain of making 160, or was it just a bad chin?
No, I think it was the strain of making 160. I think we're going to see a completely different fighter who's got his legs under him,
yes,
confident. He's a much better technical fighter than Berlanga, and I think that will show. Now, Berlanga's a heavy-handed kid. He comes in there and
one thing he can do,
and he can crack. And if he goes in there and sort of goes balls to the wall the first few rounds, he's very dangerous. But if he's able to utilize his jab, Hamzat, and fight from the outside, start picking his shots, I like him in this fight to win.
Just like we mentioned last week, we have seen fighters like Lamont Roach move up in weight, and magically they become not undersized. They become bigger and better with their legs and their ass underneath them. It's amazing what can it do for your performance when you spend all week not in a sauna but actually eating 2-3 meals a day. Here's one from Big Sherm. Did you watch Dalton Smith this weekend? If so, what do you think of his performance? And what do you give him in terms of a shot against Alberto Puello if they fight next? All right, so Dalton Smith fought a guy, unlike Charles Conwell, that came to win. Matthew Germain. His whole victory was seeing the end of the fight. There was almost no resistance. And look, I like Dalton Smith. He's a strong, solid, rugged plugger. I just wonder, is he seasoned enough to really compete at 140? It's easy to look good when you face somebody that does not try to win. Keep that in mind. Here's one from Clay Stevenson. Hey, Mario, if you had never entered show business, what career do you think you would have pursued?
It's a good question. When I was younger,
mailman.
Yeah, because I always deliver. No.
Oh man, the mail would have always been late. Jeez.
When I was younger, I used to want to be a news anchorman only because I thought they worked an hour a day.
Oh really? Want to be
Turn
Ted
on the
Baxter.
news from 5 to 6.
Ted Baxter. Yeah.
That was it. I said that's a great gig, important to the community. They work an hour a day. I want to do that. Essentially, I'm kind of doing that, but for entertainment. Yeah. But it is a lot more work than just an hour a day. So I think I would have probably kind of focused in on that. We'll see.
Okay, so that's still entertainment business, though.
Is it? It's more news journalism. It's more news journalism. But yeah, I guess I would have been on TV. Yeah, so I guess so.
Here's one from our guy, the only Sanch. Ask the Mexican Jack LaLanne, Mario Lopez, what is the next product he'll be adding to his fitness line, or is he going more so the home care products with the butt wipes and skincare?
Why are you leaning into the butt wipes?
Well, he did. I'm just reading the question.
You like emphasize that. You like that.
Yeah.
I can hook you up, Kim. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
I don't discriminate. I want to continue. I want to do them all. Let's do it all.
Be like a one-man Johnson & Johnson.
There you
I
go.
can get all sorts of products
There
there.
you go.
Procter & Gamble.
One-stop
Lopez
shop, player.
Lopez and Lopez.
That's it.
Here's one from Ryan Longer. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the current American heavyweight boxing scene? To me, it's the lowest in a while. I would say a -5.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's not strong. It's not strong at all. And look, if you just look at who matters at the moment, obviously the cream of the crop is from Ukraine. And then we've got UK fighters. And then we have Parker's UK, New Zealand. Where is he?
Yeah, he's a foreigner.
He's a foreigner. They're all foreigners, is my point. Deontay Wilder, I think, was our last
Yeah,
great.
we're talking about look, Jared Anderson.
That's what I said. He was our last great American fighter.
Jared
wasn't he?
Anderson, we had great hopes for.
Yeah.
He may not be built for this.
No.
I mean, it's not just a knockout to Bacoli, but the way he behaved in his last fight, I'm just saying to myself, oh, God.
No. And then Andrew Ruiz has been disappointing
Who?
with his exactly. So
Richard Torres is a tough, hard-nosed kid,
I
but
like
he's
that
small.
kid. I know.
But he's so small.
He's so small, but he's fun to watch. And he looks like he's from the 70s. I like that
Best
kid.
mustache in the game.
Yes.
And I look, this Saturday, or starting Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, is the National Football League draft. And people say, where did all our heavyweights go? Watch Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's a good bit of them. The other ones are probably in the NBA or playing basketball of some sort. Okay. The bottom line is, look, Golden Boy actually had an Olympic guy trained by Ronnie Shields, made his pro debut in Oceanside. Look, I'm not saying he looks like young Michael Dynamite Dokes, but he looked pretty good by today's standards.
Okay.
But it really goes to show you, I remember in the 80s, people saying, oh my God, these heavyweights are terrible. And I'm thinking to myself, right now, there's no Greg Page. Right now, there's no Tony Tubbs. Right now, there's no Michael Dynamite Dokes, Tim Witherspoon. I think to myself, wow, we have really reached a low ebb.
Yes.
So, yes.
Regarding heavyweights.
Right. I would say -5. Here's one from David. Mario, Tyson Fury posted footage of himself back in training. Who do you think he's coming back for? And with TKO/Turkey's impending entry into boxing, is this the beginning of the end for the sanctioning bodies?
Well, I think Fury would still like to get in there with Joshua, and I still think that does big business overseas. I don't think it's the end of the sanctioning bodies.
I don't either.
But the fees might be lowered a little bit, but I don't think it's definitely the end because the belts do still matter. And I'm interested to see when TKO really sort of dives in. They're officially diving in with Canelo Crawford. So that's their first foray. Not a bad way to make a splash.
Yeah, keep that in mind. The TKO belt will be about a certain group of fighters under that umbrella. If you're not under that organization, you're probably competing for the WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO. Also, as we said with Doug Fisher about 3-4 weeks ago, until you create a system where champions fight more than once or twice a year, if I'm a fighter, the last thing I want is less belts. I think we're fine with 4, with 2 things. Number 1, they enforce their mandatories, they follow their own rules, and the champions fight more than twice a year. Now, I don't know if any of that is feasible, but this whole notion that you have to completely reinvent the wheel, I don't actually really agree with that.
Well, the reason they're having that approach is because they want it much like the UFC, where you have a recognized champion, where, again, they had the traditional 8 weight classes. They had 1 belt like they did back in the day. So I don't know if
But what do they do, though? But what do? They keep their guys more active.
Well, they do. Well, that's supposed to be the objective here, so we'll see. They're good intentions. We'll see how realistic it could be executed in the climate these days.
Right.
Final flurries.
Moving on to final flurries. Mario, I watched some of the clips of WrestleMania, that big extravaganza at the Allegiant Stadium. Man, I thought as a kid it was big when they went to the Silverdome, and I think that was for WrestleMania 3. I remember watching that with my baseball teammates. This thing is unrecognizable now, in a good way.
Dude, it's next level. It is huge. So we didn't get to go to WrestleMania this year. We've gone like the last 3-4 years at least. Because my kids love to see it, and so does my daughter. Because the females now are really athletic. Yeah. It's no longer just Elizabeth or Randy Savage. They're getting out there. They're beating ass and flipping around.
I thought you were going to say Fabulous Moolah. Okay.
Well, no, you went way back.
Wendy Richter.
Exactly. Well, you're a lot older than me. That's why.
Shut up.
And so we went to SummerSlam there at Allegiant Stadium. Yeah, the production is awesome, man. The production is next level. So yeah, now WME, UFC, WWE, they're all one. They're this huge conglomerate, and they just put on these incredible shows. So yeah, that was this past week, and the next one is SummerSlam, which is going to be a giant stadium. Dude, they do stadiums now,
right,
all over the place. So that one, I've been to a show there too, a giant stadium with that. They put on great shows, so it's a lot of fun.
I remember the second one. There was a triple header. One was in Nassau Coliseum. Other one was at the Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois, and then I went to the one in L.A. It was King Kong Bundy, Hulk Hogan.
Steel cage match.
At the L.A. Sports Arena. And the way they've developed this, I saw some of the lines for the rideshare. Folks, you were better off just getting a bike, locking it up, and just driving back to the Strip. It was amazing. Mario, rest in peace to the Pope. Had a good run.
Papa Francisco.
Had a good run.
He did have a good run. He was thought of as a progressive pope. He had a huge heart and just was a very gracious guy. Died on Easter. What a Catholic, huh?
That's symbolic.
That's symbolic. And now the conclave begins. You know what the conclave is? That's the assembly of cardinals that selects the next pope. There was a movie recently that focused just on that. Again, another bit of irony. It just came out, and the pope was just passed away. It's fascinating. So all these cardinals have to vote, like in a democratic process, but the allegiances and all the stuff, it becomes very political. It's wild, and they keep going until I believe 27.8%, I forgot what the percentage is, decides, and they have the black smoke until you get the white smoke. So it's going to be interesting to see, and they start right away.
Yeah.
They start right away. It's going to be interesting to see the next selection and how it, which cardinal is going to become the next pope. There was the last time, like the cardinal from Mexico and the cardinal from Nigeria were like number 2 and 3. I think they came in. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're the front runners this next time too, because who you maybe upset or who you're. It's so political. It's so fascinating. That movie's a really good watch. It's a really good watch when that happens. So
Mario, I have a question. As someone who travels as much as you do you have a real ID? I didn't realize you needed another ID that had that little bear symbol on your California driver's license.
Yeah, no is the answer. I don't, but for some reason they still allow my driver's license or the passport works, but I think that's only to a certain point.
No, the passport will work forever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the passport will work forever.
May 7th. You need to have you better bring your passport.
Ooh, I'm gonna tell. Okay, Dave,
you got people. You got some people.
So yes, okay, good. I'm gonna tell them that
because I am debating whether to get it, and
are they not gonna let you on the plane? Everybody, all these people that come, they're just not gonna let them on the plane. That seems far fetched.
Well.
They will. They're saying this is the new requirement for IDs to fly, which is stupid because
it
doesn't add anything. And we're already like TSA pre-check. You've already vetted me.
Right, exactly. Right. If you're already, I wonder if that counts. If I have TSA pre-check.
I just got TSA.
We should be good then, because we should be good with the TSA pre-check on our ticket.
Right.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And by the way, I will say this: what I love about Clear. They now have like Clear kiosks in like places like Home Depot and Kinko's, so you don't have to go to LAX. You can actually just
that's cool.
Group, and so instead of paying $40 for parking for an hour, just park wherever you can. I went to Downing, did the thing. They just scan your thing. But the Real ID is interesting because when you go on a domestic flight, no one ever thinks about bringing the passport.
No,
it's always about international, and as much as you travel.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. You're right. If you're TSA, you've been vetted.
They've literally been pushing this back for like 6 years or 7 years.
I wonder it's going to be tough to enforce.
Scrap it.
Yeah. People are busy. They're not gonna. People are gonna. What are they gonna do? They're gonna cause chaos if they say nobody.
Yeah, that's real inconvenient.
Yeah,
is what that
exactly.
is. Mario, what's going on with Minecraft? Are these kids like tearing up movie theaters watching this?
So my kids went to go see it this past weekend because it's all about this video game, bro. That movie made $1 billion. It's nobody goes to movies anymore.
So that's $1 billion more than Snow White.
It's exactly right. Nobody really goes to the movies anymore unless it's these sort of event type films, which are either Marvel or these video game type movies. So that means, of course, we're going to be getting a lot of these. All our character driven movies.
I can't wait to see the Pac-Man movie. Donkey Kong.
Exactly right. You know, they never made that, but they should. So I couldn't believe the money this movie made. But my kids went there, and they said the kids were acting crazy, throwing stuff, and I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Food fights,
if my kids started acting like that, that'd be the last time they go to a movie. How
are you gonna monitor it?
It would get back to me because obviously they're not going by myself.
That's true. But the parents are there. They're gonna act different.
I wasn't there. They went. They went with the nanny. But if the nanny got back to me and said they were at,
would she snitch?
No, yes, she would.
Okay.
She would tell me.
She
would tell me.
Then. That's good.
She would tell me. But they know how to behave. They're like, Dad, we didn't know. I said, I'm glad you didn't participate in that because I would have said, hey.
Yeah.
See that wall? You're going to stare at that. You're not watching
your
anything
phone,
else.
video
I
game,
couldn't
all
believe that. Why are you going to go thrash stuff and you're going to the whole thing blew me away. That blew me away, the way they're behaving, and that movie made, and then now my kids are singing that song that Jack Black does a great job of hooking your kids on these little songs from the Super Mario Brothers to this Minecraft one. This one's like a lava and a chicken or something. It's so crazy.
I saw some footage of the theaters and what was going on. I would suggest that you start dressing like you're going to a Gallagher concert. Wear some plastics, wear some galoshes, bring some covering. People are going buck wild.
What's the matter with? It's like I've never seen that. Nothing like that ever happened when we were kids. Like no movie ever made us go thrash it. No, what movie made you start thrashing
No, you're right
stuff?
about that.
That was the weirdest. I've never seen that before. I mean, if you're gonna go to a movie, I guess, make a party out of it.
Yeah, I guess.
It's so weird. I just thought that was fascinating. But my kids contributed to seeing it, not to the shenanigans there.
Yes, and if they ever make a pole position movie, I will prepare to qualify. I will watch that one.
I would kill you in pole position, just so you know.
No, what are you talking about?
I would kill you in pole position.
Wow.
Galaga, Miss Pac-Man.
No, Galaga.
Dig Dug, all those.
No, Galaga.
Smoking you.
My double shooter game
No.
is tight.
You're crazy.
Now,
In
pole
the little
position,
spray.
I am an Asian driver. I will give you that one. So anyway, all right, well, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino. Again, if you want to sponsor our show, send an email at info@boxbid.io. On behalf of Mario Lopez and Smoke and Tim Frazier, this is Steve Kim saying goodbye, everybody.